The Chiefs finally get active in free agency here in 2024 with the signing of Hollywood Brown. A little bit of movement with the team, just more so losses than additions, of course, but also just bringing some people back on from last year. I think the Chiefs have made some good moves here the first week of free agency as we kind of recap everything from this first week of free agency and look at kind of around the league, but really what the Chiefs are doing mainly. And just to look, I've got the roster pulled up of free agents that have been on the move already for the Chiefs. And with that, welcome back to the Pop Show Notes podcast. Wherever you are listening along, smash that subscribe button, follow along on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and hit that like button over on YouTube. Now that we get that out of the way, so let's look into this Nick Allegretti, which is funny because I did mention he possibly, will follow along with that Andrew Wiley last year, how, Wiley performed well there at the end of the year. Ended up working him a deal with the Commanders to play right tackle for them. Now Nick Allegretti has followed along in Andrew Wiley's footsteps, headed to Washington as well. He gets a $16 million deal over 3 years, 5.3 APY with the Commanders. So we'll see Wiley and Allegretti kind of put back together on that line, which for Washington, which, kind of felt like Allegretti was going to go. He's 27, about to be 28, get a nice little deal. I mean, he showed up. I mean, he absolutely played great in the Super Bowl, was a big asset for the Chiefs, and, kind of reminded me of how Mike Pennell was on the other side of the ball, which he re-signed with the Chiefs. But Pennell came out of nowhere. I think us as Chiefs fans that have been watching the Chiefs the last few years knew how good Mike Pennell was. But to have that performance in the Super Bowl when, he hadn't been part of the, rotation really most of the year, really all year, I think. I don't know if Mike Pennell was actually on the active roster at any point throughout 2023. But with that being said, kind of looking at the guys that have moved on, Tommy Townsend, he signs a 2-year deal with the Houston Texans, $6 million, $3 million APY, of course, for the 2 years, as well as let's see who else is moving on. Jody Fortson going to Miami, and then of course Willie Gay headed to New Orleans, which Willie did mention. I think after the Dolphins game, I talked about that last episode, but after the Dolphins game, he said, it's probably his last game as a Kansas City Chief at Arrowhead. And he was right. He heads to New Orleans, which seems to be the defensive hub for former Kansas City Chiefs. Moving in with Tyrann Mathieu went there. Kalen Saunders went there, as well as Dan Sorensen headed to New Orleans as well. So they've got, four former Chiefs on that defense. I mean, I don't know if Sorensen is still there. I do know Saunders and Mathieu are still there, of course. But now to the players that the Chiefs went ahead and re-signed. Turk Wharton is back on the roster. Deion Bush, Mike Pennell I mentioned, Derek Nottie also signed and is with the Chiefs for 24. They went out and got Irv Smith at tight end, which I think was a good move. Irv Smith, $1.2 million deal for 1 season, and the Chiefs are really just going all in this year. They have really shown that. Marquise Brown, of course, the big signing, 1 year, $7 million, and working on a film review just for his play last year in 23. And I like what I've seen on tape so far. And I think that he'll really be able to acclimate himself in this offense. And I did see Mark Borichter. He had tweeted that he's really a higher price McCole. And while I see the comparison, I think that's the role that Hollywood fills in this offense, is to kind of go with that McCole Hardman type role, jet sweeps. But at the same time, watching this film, I didn't realize how much on the outside that Hollywood played. I mean, he mainly played on the outside versus the slot, which I can't remember that exact breakdown. I don't know if I wrote that down or not. But, with him coming in, I think that he is going to be able to fill a role and maybe be able to kind of fill a role of maybe what they expected Sky Moore to be versus if they bring Hardman back or not, which I, kind of on the fence on that one. So when you look at his snap count from last year, it was out wide 643 snaps, only 132 in the slot, and 6 in the backfield. So you do have that option to kind of throw him in the backfield as well. former first round pick of the Baltimore Ravens, of course. I think it was the last 2 years he spent in Arizona after that trade in that offseason. So I think Hollywood Brown, though, is going to be an excellent addition to the Chiefs. I think that he is more than McCole Hardman, but I do get the comparison because they are the same-ish type of player. I think it'll just do nothing but help the Chiefs' offense. Also, the way he releases is pretty good. He's a little bit, press coverage can trip him up a little bit at the line, but a good release and something that the Chiefs needed, and also a good catch rate. I can't remember the exact number now, but what I do have written down, number 2 in target separation versus man. So I think Hollywood Brown is going to be able to really help Mahomes out, and really what the Chiefs haven't had since they lost Tyreek Hill, in a way, of just being able to get that separation over the top and being able to figure out where to go. There's been a lot of moments in the film that I'm watching where you have Hollywood just kind of finding the open spots, right? The open spots in the field, soft spots in the coverage. It was good against zone. There's a couple plays I saw that I really liked out of Hollywood Brown from last year, and I think he will fit just perfect in the Chiefs' offense and just helps start to kind of elevate that. With that being said, too, in the draft, I think that takes a little bit of pressure off of going receiver at 32, and also kind of helps me a little bit because I was honestly worried that possibly the Chiefs were kind of going to go into another year where they're going to draft somebody and kind of put some more rookies and pieces around Rashee Rice and treat him as, which he is the number one receiver in this offense, right? I think Brown is a complementary piece to him, and Kelsey as well. And, with signing of Irv Smith and having Noah Gray, which I don't know, I haven't looked into the rumors, but I just was watching something Ryan Tracy with Rogue Football was doing, where they were talking about on Twitter there being some rumors of Noah Gray retiring, but I kind of doubt that. But having them thrown in the mix, and obviously Jody Fortson out now, there was high expectations from Jody Fortson, but never kind of panned out here in Kansas City, so we'll see. Also wondering about the emergence of Justin Ross, and if that's still something the Chiefs are kind of hoping. And so it does just help me a little bit feel more confident in this offense heading into next year. You have a really good complementary piece, and now I think you look at left tackle at being probably the number one. Obviously, you're still going to draft a receiver at some point. Very deep receiver draft. A lot of good receivers out there in this draft. So looking for the left tackle and that missing piece on the left side of the line, I think is a really big deal now heading into the draft, and could be the first pick, maybe even move up. Still kind of playing around with that, looking to get a mock draft together and put that out as well. Next thing I'm working to push out this upcoming week. So it does change the draft a little bit for the Chiefs, I think. I think the signing of Hollywood Brown definitely changes the draft and will help them be able to be more flexible, I think, in the draft at this point. So moving on to the kind of Snead and the Snead rumors, possibly. I've been seeing the Colts pop up a lot. So the Indianapolis Colts are definitely interested. Looking at a couple articles from a day ago, Titans and Colts looking to be targets. I've seen where a second-round pick may get it done. I think I saw one where it's a third and fourth pick. See, L'Jarius Sneed. This is from Matt Verdran. I'm not going to be able to say this. Verdramamy. I know I'm butchered that. But L'Jarius Sneed, main sticking point has been Snead's asking price. So the Colts and the Titans, two of the top teams, trying to execute the trade, but Snead's price is too high per source. For now, Snead remains in Kansas City on $19.8 million tag, of course, which just kind of putting that up against everybody else. Jair Alexander for the Packers, number one right now, $21 million APY Denzel Ward, right around 20, Jalen Ramsey at 20, and then that puts Snead fourth right now with 19.8. And we did see Jalen Johnson just get paid, and breaking down his deal. His cap hit is going to be $13 million for this year. So that a little bit lower from that 19 tag, but then it goes up, jumps up to $21 million for the next 3 years to 2027. So I think for Snead, if they could build a deal kind of like that, for Snead, I think that it's very possible you could still get something done for a long-term deal with Snead. I don't know if that's necessarily the highest of priority to get done. Just with Trent McDuffie, you're going to have to pay McDuffie. McDuffie, Watson, and can't think of that man's name right now. Josh Williams. They are all going to be due the same year. They all got drafted in the same draft class. So that's another one there to kind of where you're looking ahead. How much money do you want to give Snead, and how much, is that going to hamper you on trying to re-sign any of these guys later on? And I think right now McDuffie, just, with his age and everything, I think you definitely think he's probably number one priority just in the DB group at the moment. So I don't know where that ties in, honestly, with how the Chiefs are going to try to maneuver this, but they've obviously shown they are working really hard to go all in this year and kind of push cans down the road a little bit, like with Chris Jones' deal. I can't remember off the top of my head what the cap hit was the first year, but it was a lot lower than the other few years. Drew Tranquil's deal was similar, where he's going to have somewhat of a similar cap hit as last year that he has this year, and then that contract goes up the next couple of years. So obviously just playing around with the cap, and they are working for this year, going all in on the three-peat, which, obviously you have to, right? No other team has went back-to-back-to-back ever in the NFL. So something that you have to go all in on, and I'm going to play around with it in the draft. I already kind of have on the mock draft simulator on PFF, kind of moving Snead around. So I think probably other teams may be using that. One, I don't think that teams want to pay Snead probably what he's worth, and I think he's kind of seen as a system quarterback or cornerback to a point. So we'll see, and I think that also makes where teams don't want to give up too much draft capital, but getting capital out of Snead may help you move up in the draft, either get a big-time left tackle. I haven't looked a ton at left tackles. I know Joe Alt is right there at the very top, so, he's probably not an option to actually move up to go get. But also being able to, that 32 pick may be a really good option to kind of bundle that together with a team like the Patriots that may want to go to receiver early and then, circle back around and move back up to pick up their quarterback. The quarterbacks are pretty deep in this draft as well. So, obviously you got your top two, Caleb Williams and Drake May, but you also have some other guys in the mix that, could go later on. Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy. I'm trying to think, too, where Jaden Daniels goes somewhere in that mix, probably in the first round, I would assume. So we'll see where that kind of fits out and where the Chiefs could maybe maneuver or figure something out. But to move, I guess we'll go ahead and move off the Chiefs. The other thing that I had was the Pittsburgh Steelers situation. That's interesting. They trade for Justin Fields. I'm gonna look up that trade because I actually haven't seen what the full trade was with him going to Pittsburgh. Created the market was definitely interesting for quarterbacks, right? And with Russ going to Pittsburgh, I didn't think that they would pull this deal off. This is one of the ones that I liked the most was possible going to Pittsburgh for Justin Fields. I think Mike Tomlin and the stability that the Steelers could bring would really help him. Obviously, there's questions about Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator, but I think it's a good deal. My real question is, who's starting? Is Justin Fields going to sit behind Russell Wilson? Is Russell Wilson going to start? We will see. Of course, Kenny Pickett got moved to Philly. I'm trying to see exactly what this article's not giving me what the actual deal was. Let me go to Twitter. But yeah, the biggest one for me is trying to figure out who's starting. Are you bridging Russell Wilson? Because, I mean, I'm not sure what Justin Fields' age is, but, I mean, he's already been in the league for a few years. He's been starting on a team that was obviously not good, and a big part of the reason why, they're moving on from him, and to, figure out the money situation. I think it's a good deal for the Bears to go ahead and move on, restart, and see what they can do. So I'm still not seeing exactly what it was, what the Bears got back. Oh, well. Either way, going in to see who's going to start. Is Russell Wilson there just to help out? Obviously, the Steelers have dealt with situations with their quarterbacks the last couple of years. They've kind of been missing that one piece. The defense is still really good. Going and getting Patrick Queen, that's huge to help out the Steelers as well. So I think it's a good move. And maybe they're just worried about their quarterback, staying healthy at the end of the day, because you got two starting level quarterbacks, which wherever you want to put them at, on that level varies, I'm sure. And Justin Fields, we haven't been able to see the best out of him just with the situation he was dealt up there in Chicago. So, but with Chicago, I think it's the right move. You move on. You don't have to worry about paying Justin Fields and figuring that out when you don't know 100% if he's your guy or not. And now they're going to have a reset on presumably Caleb Williams and see if Caleb Williams is that guy. But other than that, I think we ran down the entire list of the Chiefs free agents at the moment. I'll just run down the list on who's not signed. But before we get off of that topic, just let me know what you think down there in the comment section below about the Pittsburgh Steelers situation. Do you like it for the Steelers? You think it's kind of silly? Where they're going with that? Is Russ the starter? Is Fields the starter? Obviously, we'll get more context as the offseason goes on and, once we get into camp and things like that. But still on the board for the Kansas City Chiefs out there. Marquise Valdes-Scantling, who was obviously released. About 95% sure he will not be back in Kansas City next year. McCole Hardman, Mike Edwards, Donovan Smith, your left tackle, that you're still looking to fill that void. Donovan Smith may be an option to bring back on a one-year deal. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still out there. Prince Tega Wanna-Go still out there. At tackle, which, wouldn't be a bad option to bring him back in and have somebody familiar into the fold. Jerick McKinnon, Blaine Gabbert, Richie James, Blake Bell, Mike Dana, Malik Herring, Jack Cochran, Nazeeh Johnson, and Mike Caliendo. Out of that list, Mike Dana would be one that I would really like to see the Chiefs try to bring back and kind of maybe where his, the possibility on where he's at money-wise. Mike Edwards is another option, possibly. Clyde Edwards-Helaire too, depending on, what he would be, what kind of contract he would pull and where he would hit against the cap. On Spot Track, he has a market value 1.6. I mean, I think the Chiefs could swing that for one season to kind of get them on. I just think Clyde brings a good, fit to the Chiefs in the role he's been in the last couple of years with Pacheco in. He's not the lead back. He's not an every down guy, obviously. But I do think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire brings just a certain aspect that I think could really help the Chiefs out, and has. You look at the Patriots game. He had a great game against the Patriots, that huge touchdown catch. He also has his moments where, there's been some fumbles here and there. Jet McKinnon, obviously another one too, which, where he's at in age-wise, not 100% sure if he's going to be able to continue to, keep on. Obviously, he had the injuries last year with the Chiefs as well. So not a bad move to bring him, either one of those guys back. I mean, that running back room has been really good the last couple of years. And, if you can kind of keep it going, obviously age is in, wearing down and things like that. And the Chiefs have P. Ryan as well. That's a possible. Yeah, I think so. Now I'm second guessing myself because of Samaj P. Ryan. But the Chiefs do have options at running back, I think, and possibly finding someone maybe in this draft. Personally, as a Mizzou fan, I really like Cody Schrader. I don't know where exactly he's going to end up, but I think would be an awesome little fit from a Mizzou guy to come in and be a guy that can, maybe do something for you here and there, because the way that they ran Pacheco last year. I mean, Pacheco's getting 15 to 20 carries a game, especially there towards the end of the year, and I think in the Super Bowl is over 20 carries. At least some of those postseason games I know. Thinking off the top of my head, I think he had 18 in Baltimore, something like. But the Chiefs were running the ball a lot, and they were using Pacheco to carry the load, and I think that, that's fine. Obviously, you're going to need, he had some injury concerns as well last year, but you're obviously going to need to have guys that can step in and help out on third down or random downs. So I think the Chiefs, running back is, I don't want to say an easy one to kind of find somebody, but to plug and play, I think that the Chiefs will be all right figuring that out, whether they go back to what we've seen or if they move on to kind of trying to figure out piece together a new running back room for next year. So that being said, I mean, that's through everything right now as of Sunday night of what we have seen from the Chiefs. So in that comment section below, let me know what you think, how you feel about the offseason so far for the Kansas City Chiefs, if they're on the right track, what you'd like to see them do next, or at all, what you think about the draft and, who the Chiefs need to go out and pick and make a selection to bring them to Kansas City for 2024 to get this three-peat. So, and the Steelers situation, I went over that. That one's a really interesting one to me, though. Just having Fields and Russ to see how Russ is going to react to it, because I haven't really seen anything. Just because, man, if they sign Russ and end up making him the backup, I think did not see that one coming whatsoever. I definitely thought after Russ was signed, that was who the Steelers were going all in for 2024 with. They've got a bit of a future plan, but again, you're going to have to pay Justin Fields. I think this is going to be his last year under contract under that rookie deal, and I don't know the type of money that Fields is going to command. Obviously, he hasn't got to prove himself in the league, So I mean, he may be kind of opening a door. Or, I mean, I guess not him, personally, but if he's not able to start this year, that's definitely going to hurt his value for next year. So let me know in the comment section what you think about that one. That one is by far the most interesting situation in the NFL, I think, outside of the Chiefs and outside of Kansas City. Also, Aaron Donald retirement. That one's a big one. So let me know what you think in the comment section about Aaron Donald retiring. First ballot Hall of Famer, was an absolute terror to the league for the last 5 to 10 years, somewhere in that range, because he probably still had some play left in him, and we'll see how that affects Chris Jones after this three-peat, because I don't know if Chris Jones, I don't know. We'll see if he plans to play out. I think the full 5-year deal, because he's kind of getting up there too, and just that position and, the way the leagues went in the last 15 years or so, you're seeing guys retire a lot earlier and younger in their careers. There's so much more out there with podcasts and, different things on TV, and, you can find yourself work and a job within either media or something like that within football. So again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and until next time, we will see you on the other side. Go Chiefs.